sea prison worth hundreds of billions, and I'm the only one locked up in it. A million guards on watch 24/7, and the second I make a move, hundreds of tanks and fighter jets come rolling out. Even the top 10 elites bow down to me. 8 out of the 10 Dragon Nation war gods, I trained every single one of them. And all of this, because I'm the most powerful king of the underworld Dragon Nation has ever seen. I hadn't even walked out of prison yet, and there was already a massive crowd waiting outside. That's when a young girl couldn't hold back and started complaining to her grandpa. "Grandpa, the Chen family is a trillion-dollar empire. Why are we all the way out here waiting on some random convict named Qin Jiang? Shut your mouth. You have no right to call the king of the underworld by his name. Anyone who walks out of this prison could shake the entire Dragon Nation to its core, and yet every single one of them bows before the king. Do you understand why?" The girl was honestly speechless, but she still pushed back. "So what? Is he really stronger than the war god Heavenly Kings guarding the nation's borders? Those Heavenly Kings guard Dragon Nation's gates. Just one of them is enough to make enemy forces tremble. But here's what you don't know. 8 out of those 10 Heavenly Kings were made by the king of the underworld himself." The girl was completely stunned. Someone this young, already untouchable in this world? That's not humanly possible. Her whole expression shifted. The next time she looked toward that prison, it was like she was looking at a god. Right then, a few luxury cars pulled up at the prison entrance. A strikingly beautiful woman stepped out. That was Shen Rushuang, the heiress of the powerful Shen family from Modu, one of the Heavenly Kings, known as the top healer of the southern region, and the last disciple of the legendary ghost doctor Ge Hong. 2.5 minutes later, the gates burst open, and I strolled out like I owned the place. Shen Rushuang frowned, pulled out a photo and glanced at it, then sized me up. I looked like a total slacker. She crossed her arms, chin up, full-on superiority complex. "You're Qin Jiang?" I frowned, gave her an annoyed look, and asked what she wanted. She tossed the photo to a bodyguard, then pulled out a marriage contract. "Cool as ever," she said. "I'm Shen Rushuang. Before your mom got kicked out of the Qin family, she came to my family and arranged a marriage. I'm only here to tell you, I'm voiding this contract. Don't come bothering the Shen family after you get out." Hearing that name, I was caught off guard. My mom had mentioned it. The Shen family of the capital owed her a huge favor, and they'd promised to give their daughter to me one day. She said if I ever needed help, I could go to them. But when my mom was framed and died sick, the Shen family was nowhere to be found. When I was wrongly thrown in prison, still nothing from them. And now the second I'm out, their daughter shows up to call off the engagement. My expression darkened. Shen Rushuang looked at me with cold pity. "The gap between us would just make you feel worthless. Even if you married me, you'd live in my shadow forever. But hey, if you can't put food on the table someday, feel free to call me. Oh, and you should go apologize to Wang Yanjun in Modu. Get on your knees, be sincere, maybe he'll throw you a few bucks to live on." She handed me a business card. I didn't take it. So she dropped it on the ground, ripped the marriage contract to shreds right there, got in her car, and drove off. I watched her go, eyes narrowing, a cold gleam in my gaze. The Qin family, the ones who drove my mother to her grave, I'll settle that score. What's waiting for them is nothing but blood for blood, and endless darkness. Meanwhile, an old man nearby had been watching the whole thing. He shook his head and sighed. Man, families like ours worth hundreds of billions would kill to get our granddaughters close to the king. That Shen Rushuang couldn't see what was right in front of her. She just destroyed her own once-in-a-lifetime shot. Honestly pitiful. The old man stepped up to me, just about to ask a favor, but then my phone went off. It was a message from Su Zhengke. "Xiaojiang, you're out today, right? Come straight to my place in Jiangbei. Let's talk about you and Wei Wei's wedding." I read the text and raised an eyebrow. Su Zhengke was the man who looked out for me and my mom back in Jiangbei. He'd always said he'd give his daughter Su Wei to me when the time came. It was also my mother Wei Lan's dying wish. I let out a quiet sigh and agreed. Then I looked over at the old man and his granddaughter and waved them off. "Whatever it is, come find me in the capital." Not long after, I flew into Jiangbei, but the moment I stepped off the plane, my expression dropped. Shen Rushuang was sitting right there in the waiting area. She spotted me and her eyes were filled with disgust. "Qin Jiang, what is wrong with you? You can chase me all you want. I'm never gonna marry you." Then her secretary Cheng Yueting walked over. "My lady already called off the engagement and you're still following her around? Seriously? There are plenty of guys trying to punch above their weight, but I've never seen anyone this shameless." I shot them both a cold look. "You're overthinking it. I'm just passing through." "Just passing through? More like you saw my lady's looks and her money and staged this whole coincidence, trying to play the loyal puppy and win her over. Newsflash, you did time in prison. It doesn't matter how hard you grind, you'll never be on her level." Shen Rushuang had full disdain on her face. This guy is such a joke. Gets caught following her and still tries to play it off. Absolutely disgusting. I laughed it off and couldn't even be bothered to look at them. Pulled out a keycard and played with it while I waited for my ride. The king of Jiangbei, Zhao Wudi, doing time on Demonic Training Island, had already heard I was coming and called the richest man in Jiangbei to pick me up. That keycard? Key to the most expensive villa in Jiangbei. Shen Rushuang saw I wasn't leaving. I just sat back down, totally unbothered, and her disgust hit a whole new level. She was about to get up and leave when suddenly an old lady collapsed right on the floor. Everyone rushed over and a voice cut through the crowd. "I'm a doctor, move!" Not good. Her heart's failing. She might not make it. The second those words landed, a little girl in the crowd burst into tears. I frowned. The old woman's lips were white, her forehead was drenched in cold sweat, and her joints were convulsing. Severe myocarditis triggering cardiac arrest. A regular doctor wouldn't be able to handle this. But for me, I just needed to push qi into 3 acupoints: Guanyuan, Juekui, and Tiantu. In a few minutes, her heart would restart. One and done. No hospital needed after. Modern doctors lean too hard on Western medicine and forget that traditional Chinese medicine is where it's at. I cracked a quiet, bitter smile. I walked over, crouched down by the old woman, and pressed a couple of acupoints. Then I stood up and told everyone, just wait a moment. She'll come to. Cheng Yueting scowled when she saw it. Miss, look what he's doing. Total freak. The old lady's barely alive and he's over there smiling, touching her all over. This guy is not right in the head. Shen Rushuang frowned. Just as I finished and stood up, she strode over and said, let me handle it. Cheng Yueting rushed over and shoved me aside. Back off, my lady's got this. Shen Rushuang pulled out several silver needles and started needling 13 acupoints, including Guanyuan, Juekui, and Tiantu. I stood there with a slight frown. I already did the real work. The woman will be awake in 2.5 minutes. What's the performance for? But since Shen Rushuang hit the right spots and wasn't going to hurt her, I kept my mouth shut. Sure enough. 2.5 minutes later, the old woman slowly opened her eyes. The whole hall erupted. Everyone turned and looked at Shen Rushuang like she was a hero. Shen Rushuang blinked, confused. Wait, I only finished half the treatment. The odds of revival weren't even 80%. How is she already awake? Did my skills level up? The confusion quickly faded, replaced by a flicker of pride. Cheng Yueting, as expected, stepped in to hype her up. My lady is Shen Rushuang, inner disciple of Ghost Dr. Gei Hong. A case like this? Child's play.